If you are nagging at your kids every day to do their homework, watch on to learn some practical strategies to help motivate your children and put a stop to all the nagging. Hi, I'm Jacinth, a parenting coach and an ex-school teacher. I used to teach students mathematics and science for about 10 years before I stopped teaching and take care of my own kids. Other than teaching children the content itself, I believe in inculcating soft skills like independence, responsibility, and motivation in children. So I do that for my students, and right now I do it for my own children as well. My kids are 8 and 6 years old this year, and I've been giving them a lot of responsibilities that they have to do by first guiding them, setting them up for success, and now they are able to fulfill the tasks on their own. Many parents tell me that their kids prefer to play rather than do their homework, and it's the same for my kids as well. I mean, if I were to ask you a question, would you rather travel or go and work? I think the answer is obvious, we'd rather travel, right? So it's the same for kids, but we need to help them find that motivation in doing their homework, and it requires quite a few things to get them to feel a sense of ownership, to let them know how it can be done, and help them experience that sweet taste of success and accomplishment. I put up an Instagram sticker asking parents, I nag at my kids because, and as I read through all the struggles that you guys shared, I grouped them into 2 broad categories, and I will be addressing them in this video. So watch on if you want to learn these practical tips, as well as to tap on my decade-long of teaching experience to see how you can pick up some insights to help your children. If you haven't followed me on Instagram, I've added the link in the description below. I hang out there very often to share positive parenting tips as well as learning ideas to help you, the busy parent. So I looked through all the challenges that you guys mentioned, and I grouped them into 2 categories, namely homework is not a priority, so that's our first struggle, and the second struggle that many parents face is that kids have no motivation in doing their homework. So let's just address the first struggle, which is that homework is not a priority. Parents mention that their children will rather start playing first, or that they don't seem bothered about spelling or homework at all, they just want to play, or that, her child, this mommy said her child doesn't prioritize homework and she's usually immersed herself in her favorite books before anything else. There is nothing wrong with reading books or wanting to take a break before homework. So traditionally we have been told that we have to do our homework before we play. I'm not sure if this is the same for you. If you have been brought up in that way, then it would have been in your subconscious that it is important to get your homework done. And so now when your kids request to play or they don't want to do their homework, you feel extremely triggered. For me, I've learned to take a step back and observe my children. I know that they're extremely tired after a long day at school, so when they return home, they'll rather some quiet time to read their books, to eat, and even to watch TV and play their toys. And I'm perfectly okay with that as long as they get their homework done and they focus while doing their homework. This is a promise that my children have made, and so far they have been pretty obedient in making sure that they do their homework. And yeah, it reduced a lot of power struggles. I am perfectly fine with my kids playing before and after doing their homework. Children all want to feel capable, and if we can show them that we trust them, they will live up to our expectations. So I encourage you to have a chat with your little ones and plan out a schedule, routine, or rhythm when they return home from school. For the younger kids, they might think that there is no time to play if they're going to do their homework. So having this routine, this visual chart can help them see that after they do their homework, they will still have time to play. As for the older kids, you can create something like a timetable and insert their additional classes that they have and look at whatever remaining time they have and split it up between television or reading or playing toys and doing their revision. One important tip is to make sure you involve your kids in creating this timetable. So don't ever create the timetable on your own and just present it to them. We want children to have a sense of ownership in planning their day. At the same time, you are also teaching them important planning skills and problem-solving skills. At the beginning, you still might have to remind your kids a little, but keep your instructions short. For me, I will let them tell me what they have to do. So instead of saying things like, do your homework now, I will get them to tell me, what do we have to do now? And they will refer back to the schedule they have created, and they know their own responsibilities. Some parents tell me that they have set a schedule for their kids, but the kids are just not following it. And this leads me to the second big struggle that parents have, is that their children are not motivated in doing their homework. Let me read out some of the struggles that you parents are facing. A parent told me that the kids just don't like studying and doing homework, or that the parent has created a schedule but the child keeps forgetting. This mummy's 9-year-old doesn't focus and he keeps getting distracted. Half an hour work can take about 1 hour plus. Or that some kids require some pushing or incentives before going ahead with doing their homework. Another mom shared that the child doesn't like to repeat writing, and mommy says that kids tend to forget when the homework is due. Firstly, I don't encourage the carrots and stick approach, because giving extrinsic motivation is not a long-term solution, especially for doing homework and learning. I highly encourage you to help your kids build intrinsic motivation, and I will share some tips with you. Convey your expectations to your children. There was once when I sat down with my son and I spoke to him about his responsibilities as a child, as a student, and as a brother. It was a conversation that we had. Most of the time I was writing down and listening to him telling me what he has to do as a brother, as a son, and as a student. So for a student, he knows that he has to prepare his things for going to school, pack his own bag, his lunchbox, as well as pocket money. He needs to know that in school he has to pay attention in class. He knows that when he returns home, he has homework that has to be done and revision to be done on a weekly or daily basis to make sure that he is on track. I highly encourage you to write it down in words so that your kids are very clear about what to expect. Tip number 2 is to listen to your child. Sometimes they are not motivated because there are other things on their mind that makes them feel uncomfortable, or they are just feeling out of sorts. So it's important for you to speak to your kids and check in regularly. Why is it so hard for you to complete this piece of work? Are you not able to understand what the teacher taught? Do you need additional help? What else can mommy and daddy do to help you? My third tip is to use tools to help your children. Not complicated tools, but I'm referring to things like just a paper and a pencil for the child to list down the homework that he or she has and to cross it out when he or she is done. This act of crossing can help the children feel a sense of accomplishment that they have done the work, and I want you to motivate your children to see that instead of looking at how many tasks they have left, focus on the stuff that they have done. For example, wow, you have done 2 out of 5 pieces of work. That is amazing. Another tool is to use a simple calendar for the kids to write down when the important deadlines are. So they just have to refer to this calendar. Make sure you place it somewhere accessible so that you don't have to keep nagging at your children to remind them to learn their spelling or to submit their assignments. Tip number 4 is to make sure that your children's basic needs are met. Basic needs like making sure they're well fed, well rested, they are feeling comfortable when doing their homework. Find the right time for them to make sure that they are feeling the most energetic and the most receptive in learning and taking in new knowledge. So it could likely be a time after tea break or after their nap time. And this is important because when our basic needs are not met, we can't function, and it works the same for your kids as well. Tip number 5 is to break down the task. Sometimes with so much work, it can be overwhelming for children. So I encourage you to let your kids see that these are, maybe they have to do 10 questions, but they don't have to do it at one go. So they can break it down to do just 2 questions. For me, I let my kids take movement breaks between tasks so that they don't feel so tired. So perhaps after 2 questions, they get to do like 5 jumping jacks, or I'll get them to run across the living room just to get their blood pumping and to have more oxygen delivered to the brains. Tip number 6 is to make sure that the task can be done in a fun way as much as possible. I know it can be a bit challenging, sometimes you're just stuck. So I'm going to offer you a few ideas here. For example, like learning spelling, I will give my child a dice and write down his spelling words numbered 1 to 6. So whenever he throws the dice, he has to spell out that particular word. So this is when he's practicing to learn how to spell. Other than the dice, sometimes I'll give him a crossword puzzle where he has to fill it up. So it doesn't feel like he's learning spelling. It seems like something he enjoys. And yeah, that brings me to my next point. Know your child's interest. If your child enjoys drawing, maybe before a creative writing piece of work, your child can be drawing out the pictures to help him better know the flow of his composition. For instance, in learning mathematics, you can use your child's favorite toys to help your child in learning. So for example, my son loves Lego, so I will use the Lego figurines to use as math manipulatives or even Lego blocks to help him better understanding maybe ideas like place values or learning combination, permutation. So these are the things that he enjoys. So if you know your child's interests, it's easy for them to be more motivated in learning because it is something that they enjoy. A mom said that the child is easily distracted. I know this might sound very simple, but did you remove the distractions around the house? So if the child is trying to do a piece of work, there can't be someone else sitting in the living room watching television and turning the volume up because it is very distracting. Other forms of distraction are like toys. So the table has to be clutter-free. Just put the stuff that your kids need, because if there are too many things on the table, it can be difficult for some children to focus. A lot of times we just focus on our kids when they don't get their work done. For example, why are you not done with your homework yet? There are 10 questions and you have only done 5. Instead of focusing on what your kids haven't done, give effective praise and let your kids feel good so that they can do better. For example, perhaps they have done this piece of English homework that they find so difficult. You can say things like, wow, you told me that it was very difficult, but yet you got it done. That's great determination. Or sometimes my girl will be very defeated with playing a piece of piano score and she would tell me, I can't do it, mommy. And what I did was to break it down for her, and once she has it done, I will look at her and make it like, a very big celebration, like, wow, you told me you couldn't, but now you do it. Did you know what just happened? You managed to rewire your brain and you kept trying, you did not give up. So praises like this, when they are very effective, very specific, it really helps the kids to feel capable and all the more motivated to want to continue trying and not giving up. My final tip is to help your children enjoy learning. Let them be curious, let them ask questions, and do research or reading about things that are not found in the textbooks. We want our kids to see that doing homework is not just a task assigned by the teachers, but rather an opportunity to build skills and knowledge. To summarize, the 10 tips are: set up schedule and routines, convey expectations to the children, listen to the children, provide tools to help the kids like a visual calendar, make sure that basic needs are met and find the right time for learning, break down the tasks, make the task as fun as possible and follow your child's interests, remove distractions, give effective praise, and help them enjoy learning. Think about yourself. How do you motivate yourself to get your work done? For me, I find that I'm most motivated when it's something that I'm passionate in. I find meaning in what I do. I experience a sense of accomplishment and I feel confident. And I like this sweet taste of success that when I put in the effort, I get the work done and my goals met. Similarly, for our kids, we want to guide our children to help them to find meaning in homework. And there is more to just completing the assignment. It's really the intrinsic motivation, the soft skills that the kids pick up by being independent, knowing how to plan, problem solve, and to be motivated. I hope you have enjoyed the video and do try out the 10 tips that I have shared. If you like the video, please click like and feel free to share it with your friends. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell when I put up more videos. All these are feedback to me that you are enjoying my resources, and that will also give me motivation to create more to help you parents. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.